Hello and welcome to Emirates News. We are broadcasting from Dubai and these are your headlines tonight. The Vice President reviews the plans of the Ministry of Culture and Youth and follows up on the developments of the National Youth Strategy. The Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and the U.S. Secretary of State discussed the peace accord between the UAE and Israel and the fight against COVID-19.
I'm Greg Fairley in the business tonight. Top 10 UAE banks posted a 21.2% jump in their net profits in second quarter compared to the previous quarter as a result of lower provisioning and increased cost efficiency.
And I'm Graham Clues, and in the sport, Abu Dhabi-owned Manchester City are one of the front-runners to sign Lionel Messi. The Barcelona superstar tells his club he wants to leave, and an unprecedented bidding war is already underway.
His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, UAE Vice President, Prime Minister and the ruler of Dubai, has directed the Ministry of Culture and Youth to draft a comprehensive national strategy to develop cultural and innovation-related industries in the UAE and ensure their contribution to the economy. Sheikh Mohammed also directed to speed up initiatives that target youth, where he issued instructions to place high priority on youth-related programs, through focusing on programs and projects that invest in their talents and abilities and work on empowering them and integrating them into the labor market. His Highness's remarks came as he reviewed plans of the Ministry of Culture and Youth and ensured its alignment with the post-COVID-19 government work. In his capacity as ruler of Dubai, Sheikh Mohammed has issued a resolution on the use of security cameras to document the activities of Dubai police officers. The resolution aims to improve the quality of Dubai Police's services and enhance the performance of its personnel. It also seeks to strengthen the community's confidence in the police force, protect its rights, and ensure transparency. According to the resolution, Dubai Police is authorized to use security cameras in public areas to fulfill its duties, including handling traffic violations and ensuring effective security. The officers are prohibited from transferring, storing, transmitting, or publishing any security footage unless they obtain written consent from investigation authorities. The Vice President has issued a decree forming the Board of Directors of the Security Industry Regulatory Agency. Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi and the Deputy Supreme Commander of the UAE Armed Forces, His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, and the U.S. Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, discussed strategic relations between the two countries over a phone call. Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed and Pompeo also reviewed ways to enhance ties at all levels in the best interest of the two countries. During the call, they tackled several regional and international issues of mutual interest, foremost of which is the peace accord between the UAE and Israel and the prospects for strengthening it in a way that serves the foundation of peace and stability in the region. Also discussed were the latest developments in the region and the two countries' efforts to jointly fight the COVID-19 outbreak. The Ministry of Health and Prevention today announced 399 new COVID-19 cases in the UAE. This brings the total number of cases here to just over 68,000. The ministry also announced an additional 316 people have made a full recovery, increasing the recoveries tally to more than 59,000. One more COVID-19 fatality was recorded in the last 24 hours, taking the death toll to 378. Meanwhile, UAE authorities are urging the public to act responsibly after a 10% spike in COVID-19 cases were recorded this month. Health sector officials say the actions of some people failing to comply with safety measures is increasing the infection across the country. Officials added pictures on social media have shown gatherings at hotels without precautionary measures, which contradicts all the hard work put in by the country's frontline heroes. However, data shows that the UAE still has a low death rate, which stands at 0.5% of total case numbers. Schools across Sharjah will implement 100% e-learning for students for the first 2 weeks of the new academic year. The decision was made in the interest of the safety of students and the educational staff. Educators in Sharjah have also welcomed the decision, saying it will give them time to ensure that all students are COVID-19 negative. Meanwhile, in-person classes are set to begin across the country on the 30th of August. 37,000 teachers and school staff have taken part in a special virtual program to help prepare them for a new style of education. The initiative involved public and private schools under the Ministry of Education to help educations understand how to adapt a hybrid learning environment of face-to-face and distant learning. The program was a part of the annual Specialized Training Week and the 6th Arab Gulf Teachers Forum. Officials involved in the initiative said their aim was to help create educational methods that correspond to challenges as part of the new normal for schools. New rules have been put in place for Dubai school buses and taxis as students prepare to return to class next week. The new regulations means that school buses will be sanitized before and after every school journey, as well as a maximum capacity limit of 50%. Students will also have their temperatures checked before being allowed to board the bus. New safety devices like cameras and sensors will also ensure that no students are left behind on buses, as well as a GPS tracking system. 2 individuals have been detained over the fabricated report on 5 COVID-19 deaths in an Emirati family living in the UAE. The fake story was aired on Abu Dhabi Sports Channel, for which Abu Dhabi media issued an apology. Following the broadcast, authorities immediately launched an investigation and necessary measures were taken in less than 48 hours. The National Emergency Crisis and Disaster Management Authority also confirmed last night that the family mentioned in the story did not even exist. Meanwhile, the public has also been warned that all those who fail to follow the laws in spreading and sharing COVID-19 information will be held accountable. 200 senior government officials have met virtually to discuss a major report on the well-being of residents across the UAE. The Happiness and Wellbeing Council discussed the results of the National Survey for Happiness and Wellbeing that took place earlier this year, with 10,000 people interviewed across the country. Respondents were asked their thoughts on the economy, government services, environmental sustainability, culture, and arts, and more. Council members will now work with executive teams to ensure that all sectors are meeting their targets. The Abu Dhabi Emergency Crisis and Disasters Committee has approved 2 tests to enter the capital in a bid to enhance precautionary measures to contain the spread of COVID-19. The move comes into effect from tomorrow and will allow entry into the Emirate within 48 hours from receiving a negative PCR test result. The measures will allow entry within 48 hours from receiving a negative DPI laser test result, provided it is supplemented with a negative PCR test result received within 6 days prior to entry. The committee also said that the same type of test cannot be taken twice in a row within 6 days. However, volunteers taking part in the phase 3 trials of an inactivated COVID-19 vaccine are exempt from these measures. Meanwhile, the committee says that legal measures will be taken against those violating the entry procedures. Travelers have been reminded that face masks are compulsory on all flights in order to protect both themselves and the passengers around them. The International Air Transport Association says that there have been several international cases where passengers turned violent after refusing to cover up. IATA has warned that passengers who refuse to wear a face mask risk being offloaded from the flight, with potential restrictions on future travel. UAE carriers Emirates and Etihad both distribute a safety pack to passengers before departure, which contains masks, gloves, and hand sanitizers. Managers at a Dubai media company found a way to avoid awkward situations around social distancing. They're using color-coded bracelets indicating how staff want to be greeted. Employees can choose between green bracelets to show fist bumps are fine, yellow ones to indicate they can chat without touching, and red bands to keep a distance from others. The initiative helps employees feel more comfortable after resuming work.
A common issue that we've actually found with people coming back into the office is that everyone's feeling a little bit different with regards to COVID in terms of it's very much a personal choice how much they want to interact with people, and there's no easy way for people to understand where someone's coming from. So what we did, I saw this online. It was actually on LinkedIn. It was a post. I saw that, passed it to the team, and the team went and put this together. So what we're actually doing is we've got green, yellow and red bands. Anybody can walk in. As they walk into reception, they pick one of those bands up and they put that on, and it gives a very clear signal to anyone else that's interacting with them, how close to get.
Now looking at global numbers, and there are more than 23.9 million people infected with COVID-19 around the world. And the death toll has crossed 820,000. That's the latest from Johns Hopkins University. The U.S. has the highest number of infections, with close to 5.8 million cases and a death toll that surpassed 178,000. Brazil is next with more than 3.6 million cases and over 116,000 fatalities. India follows with over 3.2 million infections and nearly 60,000 deaths. Russia currently has more than 968,000 infections and over 16,000 deaths. And South Africa rounds off the 5 hardest hit countries with more than 613,000 cases and over 13,000 deaths. In other news, the UAE has announced assistance to United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees to support it in delivering an aid shipment to Bangladesh. It comes following recent floods that struck a camp housing more than 1 million Rohingya refugees. UN officials welcome the gesture, which comes at a critical time and will help deliver life-saving relief items to the Rohingya refugees. The refugees are in dire need for shelter ahead of the cyclone season. Many refugees live in temporary shelters and in overcrowded camps. The extreme weather, heavy rains and thunderstorms also add to the COVID-19 pandemic-related challenges facing both refugees and their Bangladeshi hosts. The Dubai Fertility Center has revealed that 5,031 babies were born due to their numerous treatments provided for couples. The Dubai Health Authority says the center has achieved a 67% pregnancy success rate in the first quarter of this year. That's above the international success rate of 45%. The center's various fertilization techniques has led to its success rate to 66% in 2019 compared to 38% in 2013. It also achieved a 71% success rate in embryo transfers in the first quarter of 2020. From 2014 to this year, the center performed nearly 8,900 fertility procedures. The center also received close to 80,000 visits from couples from around the world. Time now for the news in brief. Dubai Health Authority launched the Elias Medical Fitness Center to cater to 650,000 laborers in Dubai Investments Park. The center will have the capacity to complete more than 3,500 medical fitness and occupational health tests per day. And the UAE's Al Wathba Reserve has been nominated for this year's Middle East Responsible Tourism Award. The Abu Dhabi Environment Agency says the reserve was chosen because of its excellence in protecting the ecosystem and environment. We'll have to pause now for a short break, but also up next is today's business with Greg.
Yunus, top 10 UAE banks posted a 21.2% jump in their net profits in the second quarter compared to the previous quarter as a result of lower provisioning and increased cost efficiency. That story and the rest of today's business when we come back. Nasdaq Dubai has signed a cooperation agreement with Hong Kong-based Zhongtai Financial International and Beijing Tiantai law firm in order to attract Chinese companies that want to list on the financial exchange. Under the agreement, the three parties will use their expertise to provide support and guidance to Chinese companies wishing to carry out IPOs on Nasdaq Dubai, as well as list bonds, REITs and funds. The top 10 UAE banks posted a 21.2% surge in their net profits for the April to June period. That's as a result of lower provisioning and increased cost efficiency. A report by Alvarez and Marcel entitled UAE Banking Pulse for Q2 2020 found that despite challenging market conditions, the banks witnessed a fringe surge in loans and advances and deposit growth. They found that while there has been some increase in profitability, the outlook for the domestic banking sector is likely to be subdued. The Dubai Investment Development Agency has connected remotely with potential investors and partners from the United States to present opportunities in Dubai's technology, healthcare and logistics sectors. For over a decade now, the UAE has been the top export market for US goods in the Middle East and North Africa region. Trade volume between the UAE and USA has increased by more than 40% to over $24 billion. Dubai Multi-Commodities Centre has launched a technology-driven agricultural commodity trading and sourcing platform that uses blockchain to help bridge the gap between millions of rural farmers in India and the UAE's food industry. The Agriota platform provides Indian farmers with the opportunity to connect directly with the entire food industry here in the UAE, including food processing companies, traders and wholesalers on a full digital platform. Software AG has partnered with Telco Do to boost Internet of Things implementation here in the country. The partnership is expected to empower customers to freely design, build, deploy and upgrade their IoT applications. Rami Kishli says it will also help when it comes to innovation.
It's all about how technology can improve people's lives. Safety is one side of it. Seamless government services is another side of it. Retail is potentially another side of it. So in every industry, there will be many use cases other than the ones that are already implemented now that will push the industry strides forwards. That's how we see it, and that's what this partnership would do is all about. It's a lot about collaboration between a software vendor and the slogan of Do is connecting people. If we think a little bit more than that and extend that to connecting everything, because that's what you bring in when you think about IoT.
UAE-based Fine Hygienic Holding earlier this year opened an extra facility in Ajman to meet growing demand for its sterilised products and PPE items. Another new production facility is also scheduled to open during the fourth quarter in Jafsa. Its CEO told me earlier via Zoom that it is essential at this time for businesses to act now and use and manufacture reusable and biodegradable products during the global COVID-19 pandemic to protect the environment.
Some of these companies, big companies that have claimed to be such environmental friends, are making disposable when a reusable is just as effective, it's cost effective, and you can even apply technology like the Living Guard technology to a textile, which is not economical to do with a paper mask. And you can protect humans even better. I mean, there's absolutely no reason to do a disposable mask. There is none. And so we've made a call. We don't care how much money we can make on this. We do the right thing for the world. And we're all going to have a post-corona world where there is no more coronavirus, there is no more pandemic. What's that world going to look like with billions upon billions of masks and gloves floating around in our oceans.
Emirates Global Aluminium is launching EGA Women's Network in celebration of Emirati Women's Day 2020 and also to signal the company's commitment to improving gender diversity in the heavy industry sector in the UAE. The network will enable women at EGA to form a community where they can share knowledge and experience. It will focus on training sessions and inspiring talks with the hope of sharing ideas towards innovation. And that is your business tonight, keeping you up to date. Now back to Eunice.
Thanks, Greg. Time now for another break, but also up next is today's sports. And Graham, there is a high chance that Messi could leave Barcelona, and a lot of clubs are very interested.
All the big clubs, obviously. The internet went into meltdown yesterday when it was announced. I mean, it's not official, but it seems pretty certain that Messi is asked to leave Barcelona. Where he's going to go, it's going to have to be a club with a lot of money. So coming up in the sport, goals from more UAE club friendly matches last night, and Abu Dhabi-owned Manchester City are in the hunt to sign Lionel Messi after the player said he is leaving Barcelona.
You're watching Emirates News. Our top story tonight. The Vice President has reviewed the plans of the Ministry of Culture and Youth and followed up on the developments of the National Youth Strategy. Time now for the sport.
Organisers of the Formula One Etihad Airways Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, which was confirmed yesterday for December the 13th, say that as of now, the event will be behind closed doors. Formula One bosses announced yesterday that their revamped season will end with a race in Turkey in November, followed by 2 races in Bahrain, and finally the season will come to an end at Yas Marina Circuit in December. Now, as with the UFC's Fight Island last month, the Yas Marina Circuit will be turned into a safe zone with access only granted to those directly involved with Formula One. But with the event still 5 months away, organisers are still hopeful that the safety situation by then may allow for some fans to be in the stands. Football and UAE clubs are starting to play their final friendly fixtures before competitive matches begin properly next weekend. Sharjah beat Kalba 2-1 in a friendly, which is part of a mini-tournament, which also involves Ajman and Al Nassr, one of several mini-friendly tournaments going on around the country. And Nicolas Jimenez scored on his debut for Bani As in their 1-0 friendly win over Al Ain last night. His perfect free kick after half an hour was the difference, and the Argentinian made himself one to keep an eye on when the season does in fact get underway next weekend. And both sides will get another run out on Friday evening. Bani As will travel the short distance south from their stadium to face neighbours Al Dhafra. And both Al Rawda and Al Ain will be expecting to challenge for trophies in the upcoming season. So their game is a good chance for both to start sizing each other up. Real Madrid striker Karim Benzema has been presented with a First Line of Defence medal from the Dubai Sports Council. The French player was one of several global football stars who sent messages of support to the UAE when we were in lockdown. His support of community initiatives to stay positive and keep fit in the UAE have now been recognised with this private awards ceremony earlier today. Khaldoon Al-Mubarak, the CEO of Mubadala, has completed his annual end-of-season interview in his capacity as chairman of Manchester City Football Club. And he said he was very proud of the way his organisation dealt with the COVID-19 pandemic. The chairman himself said that on the pitch, this past season hasn't been good enough. A Carabao Cup trophy is all they have to show from their huge investment and extremely talented squad. With Liverpool comfortably beating them to the English Premier League title and exiting the UEFA Champions League at the quarter-final stage for the 4th year in a row, the Emirati said he and head coach Pep Guardiola had already discussed how things need to improve. But when asked about the way the Abu Dhabi Investment Group have handled matters since the pandemic began, he said he couldn't have asked for any more.
Very proud. I think from donating the Etihad Stadium to the health services in Manchester, which to this day continues to be used by them, and that part, we put it with immense pride. Everybody involved with the club. Everyone pitched in, from donating to the food bank, the commitments of our players, our young lads in the academy, writing letters to some of the people that have been affected by the pandemic. I'm very, very proud.
And no doubt that today he's been one of many heads of football clubs who are looking into the chance of signing one of the greatest players of all time, after it emerged yesterday that Lionel Messi has asked to leave Barcelona. Now, according to reports, the 33-year-old told Barcelona bosses last night that he wants to end his contract and leave the club that he's played for since 2004. Fans immediately started gathering outside their stadium, Camp Nou, in protest. But the internet went into meltdown over where he could possibly go next. Manchester City are considered among the 3 or 4 clubs that would have the financial clout to be able to afford Messi, along with Paris Saint-Germain, Inter Milan and City's great rivals, Manchester United. It's going to be fascinating to watch. OK, that's your sport for tonight. Back to Eunice.
Thanks, Graham. And finally, with cinemas back in full swing, Dubai Opera has organized something special to mark on this year's most anticipated blockbusters. They're preparing a special screening of Christopher Nolan's thriller, Tenet, this weekend. From Interstellar and Inception to the Dark Knight trilogy, Nolan is known for being a cryptic filmmaker. Tenet will be screened on Friday, 28th August at noon, 5 p.m. and 9:30 p.m. at Dubai Opera downtown Dubai. And with that, we end tonight's bulletin. Thanks for watching. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Dubai One TV. We'll be back again tomorrow. But for now, have a great evening.